Clap. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode, our third episode of No Homo. I am your co-host, Phil, and I join my wonderful co-hosts, Isaac and Brandon. Welcome. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Feeling, I don't know, feeling fall because when I stepped out on the balcony, it was very Chicago. It was very Chicago summer. So it's time for cardigans.
That 39 degrees, did that like shock you?
Oh, no shock.
No shock.
Oh no. Like I'm practically a native, so I mean,
Yeah.
Tomorrow it could be 85.
That's very true. That's very true. Brandon, how have you been adjusting to now that we're like in the fullness of fall here in Chicago?
I've been enjoying it. Like fall and winter are my seasons to like thrive, and just I love the weather. I love all of the tents. The trees are changing colors. I always love to see that as a kid. So seeing that now, it's like, it's just a Chicago, Windy City feel. So I'm adjusting to it very well. But I was saying earlier that I am tired of wearing hoodies on this show. So I'm going to try to shake it up a little bit for episode 4. This is the third hoodie I've worn. And nobody really gets to see me in like a attire like this. So I need to be more forward presenting as you would see me on the street.
Isaac?
Look, I live for a good hoodie. I mean, y'all gonna see me in some hoodies. Period. I live in them, okay?
This season.
But I understand you, Brandon. I understand you wanted to mix it up because that's, I'm trying to do the same. So
yeah, I blame the pandemic. After the pandemic, that's why I got all like these. Like at first I was just wearing like my brother's hoodies and like tracksuits and stuff. But now I own my own, and they have the nerve to have Power Ranger themed hoodies. Who knew? So now, like, I have like 8,000 of them. So yes, I'm going to charge myself.
But I mean, that hoodie is hot though. I mean, like, I don't even know what you're ashamed of.
Yeah, is that Dino Thunder? Which version of Power Rangers?
No, I love Dino Thunder though. This is Dino Fury / Cosmic Fury. Yeah, another Dino. You got that one. But this was Dino Fury. This is the latest season. This is the latest season, and they're going into their third, which is the same thing, but it's going to be Cosmic Fury, where they're going out of space this time and fighting dinosaurs. So space dinosaurs. But yeah. First queer Power Ranger too. That's why I love this season.
Oh wow. Okay. So that's interesting. Well, I feel safer knowing that they're out there, I really do. They may need to come to Earth and get people, but that's another story. Okay. And Isaac, what shirt is that? What's that?
Oh, this is the old college sweatshirt.
Okay.
Old college sweatshirt.
See, he knows that this is from Banana Republic. That's why
I want to call it Better Recognized so bad.
Not Better Recognized.
University.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. We actually have quite a few topics to cover. So much stuff has happened since our last episode. So we have quite a few topics that we're going to kind of jump into here. The first is going to be with one of our fellow folks within the community, Todrick Hall, ordered to pay $100,000 in unpaid rent after being sued by owners of the home that he claimed that he owned over in Sherman Oaks. And this is according to people.com. And yeah, Mr. Celebrity Big Brother contestant, choreographer, there's been some rumors for a long time about Todrick not paying his bills. Isaac, any insight on this? Any thoughts?
First of all, I'm going to say that I didn't like Todrick way before I heard he didn't pay his bills. Like, I didn't like him because he was exploiting the culture and making like buffoonery type songs and videos. And look up Thugs. I Need a Thug or whatever, that song. And the way he just sexualizes these men, and they're all Black. So, yeah. If I want thugs in my video, they all have to be Black, because like Black guys are thugs, right? You know what I mean? So I haven't liked them ever since then. But the fact that he doesn't pay his bills is like, I'm not surprised. Like, he's like the Donald Trump of like the gay community. He never pays his damn bills, you know? And I'm not there for him because I just feel like he's never here for the Black queer community at all. He's all about surrounding himself like with people who he believes is like, you know, who he believes is more prestigious or have more power, you know, like Taylor Swift and stuff like that, you know. Like he wanted to be Lil Nas X, but he's just not, and he never will be.
I remember seeing like, oh sorry, Phillip.
No,
I remember
I was
seeing
sending it to
someone.
you. Yeah.
Cool. Tossing it over. I remember someone saying like Todrick was supposed to be what Lil Nas X is before. So I was like piggybacking off of what you said there. But at the same time, it's kind of sad because I'm like, what are you doing with your money? Because I mean, on a personal tip, because he doesn't pay his dancers. He
Right.
has like outstanding balances with the people that he works for, like his cinematography, everything like that. And now I at least thought you had a home. Like, so you don't like you're not paying your rent, you're not taking care of your household stuff, and you're just collecting these checks. So like, what are you doing, sir? Like I'm just personally, want to know.
He could afford that house. Did you see that house?
Well, he had said that he had owned the house. He did a full video saying that this was
True.
his dream house. And that this was finally his, and he had been renting it. So it's just my thinking of just, well, why not just say that? Just say that I'm living here,
Right.
you know, if you didn't own it. So even getting to a level of fame where you've been a contestant on Big Brother and on RuPaul's Drag Race, not as a contestant, but as a guest, as a judge. But why are you doing all this perpetrating for? Like, to some level, shouldn't you already be like secure that you don't have to like tell a lie?
You would hope, but I just feel like he has a problem with cutting the check. That's the whole thing. I think between his business, professionally and personally, he has a problem with giving up whatever he's earning in that aspect.
He should be a millionaire. He should be rich. And
I'm like, what are you doing?
Been out like 12 years. Like, what? Come on.
Literally. So I remember like a short time, even for that house, he did like a little GoFundMe or something where he wanted like his fans to help furnish the place and like get him like essentials. Like, yes, like it was a whole debacle like sometime last year, I swear. Like he had like defective wipes on a list and he was asking everybody to help him get that stuff. And I'm just like, Todrick, like, what are you doing? But evidently not cutting checks. It was like a GoFundMe. It was like a registry. Let me just say that. It was like a registry. Like, so he had like his little Amazon, carts and stuff like that lined up. And he was like literally asked for disinfectant wipes, toilet paper, water, like all this other stuff. And like everybody was like, "Girl, are you serious?" They were like going off.
You're telling me
yes. Let's move on, please. I am so done with Todrick.
If I gotta pay for Todrick's seasoned salt and his Pam and Crisco.
He can't live without his Crisco.
He can't live without his Crisco, but I mean, no Todrick.
Yeah.
What do we expect?
Yeah, we'll hope that he can get those bills taken care of with the money that he may or may not have. Moving on to another celebrity that also isn't within the community, but also very synonymous with the community, very antagonistic towards the community. The one and only Kim Burrell, who was on the Tamron Hall show last week for an interview, just to kind of share her side of the story after giving a very would be perceived as a very elitist, exclusionary, unchristian sermon or banterous comments that she shared, because there's a banter within church.
There's a banter.
It's a banter.
Church.
It's right. It's mean, it's cutthroat, and it's all within Christ. You just have
But
to
it's all
know to
under
know.
the umbrella of Christ.
Yeah. He approves. So that is where our wonderful Kimbrell is, and of course she had made a reference to Yolanda Adams while on the show with Tamron Hall, and Tamron had, in a very professional, I felt professional, but also respectful way, let her know that you aren't going to use my platform, because she was really just ignoring a lot of the questions that Tamron was asking and just using it as a way just to kind of spill out how she felt and make her the victim.
And double down.
And double down. Yeah, very unapologetic woman. Any thoughts about our sister in Christ, Kimbrell?
There are thoughts about Kim, of course, but I think so many thoughts. But I do want to give Tamron a huge, just kudos. Like, one, I adore that woman. Okay, like, she covers our stories, she covers our life, and she's just in a wonderful position. I believe she's using her platform very well. So I enjoy watching her. But what I enjoyed the most is it was, like you said, it was very professional. But at the same time, it was journalism at the end of the day for me. Like, she redirected her like so quickly and so efficiently. Like, even though she was trying to go there, that's her homegirl. She said it. She's like, listen, Yolanda's not here, basically, honey. That's my. She's not here to defend herself, but at the same time, this is not what you're for. So let's get back to the question here. You said you want to share your side, not a side story. So I just loved that moment for Tamron, and I love that, Kim, okay, yeah, why do I feel like I have on her glasses right now? Anyway, they're just big. They're just big. But I did enjoy that aspect of it. And just like I said, the hardcore journalism that came back with that. Because I know that even on your platform, it may have come easy for her. But I know when people do stuff like that, you just see it a lot. They just start flying and start going, and you kind of lose control of the interview and different things like that. But she locked it back down. And I thought that was great.
Yeah. Isaac, what about you?
Well, I didn't believe a word she said. The fact that she would say such vile things about people who are in need, because, like, who doesn't have that cousin who had to put the light in their child's name because otherwise they wouldn't have any lights? Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, and it's a shame that they have to go to that extreme, like messing up a child's credit before they're even 13, you know what I mean? And but for her to make fun of that, that's a real thing in the Black community. Like, that's a real thing. And that's, a direct result of policies and systemic racism.
Yes.
And the presence of white supremacy in every aspect of our lives, pretty much. So I just think it was in such bad taste, and it was like the most anti-Christian thing.
I wonder what
church supposed to be like,
Yeah. I mean, but what church, in terms of the church that she goes to, I guess where every member drives a Cadillac and has a Bentley, but why do those things, as in the principles of Christ and in Jesus Christ's teachings, why would that signify that you're a good person because you have things or you have wealth? When really within the church, hopefully you're talking about the spiritual well-being of someone who are at the core, without material possessions, without all these different things. And if someone is at a place where they need help, they shouldn't be taunted or embarrassed because of their own financial need. People can't help who they're born to, and a lot of it. So I wish that she was a little bit more apologetic. It probably would have just helped her, even if she wasn't sincere. But she's been very authentic about, her feelings. So very interesting.
When a person tells you who they are, believe them.
Oh,
okay.
Yes. And speaking of telling people who they are, we're moving into the next topic. And actually, I have quite a few questions just to kind of bring up around this article, but just to kind of announce, TMZ, this is from TMZ, and they are sharing Boosie Badass's, rapper Boosie Badass's disappointment and anger at Kanye West for wearing a White Lives Matter shirt that he wore during Fashion Week. And this is what he said. He tweeted at Kanye West, after all we've been through as a race, you put this disrespectful SHIT on you, gives no Fs about how Blacks have died in suffered to the hands of the white man. You say Bush don't like Black people, really N-word. So a lot in that paragraph, a lot of substance there. Any feelings about kind of where Boosie is, because he's been very, as a lot of some of these rappers have been, very accepting to harmful behavior when it is on a toxic kind of scale, but he seems to be wanting to be one of the only people actually holding Kanye West accountable for some of his actions within the rap industry. Any thoughts? Isaac, I'll bring it to you first. What do you thoughts about Kanye and also Boosie just trying to call him out?
Well, I never thought that I would ever agree with anything Boosie says, like, I mean,
anything.
This is another sign of the apocalypse, okay?
Twilight Zone.
Literally, hell is about 10 degrees below zero right now. Other gays are like,
I'm gonna run and get something from Montclair.
We're all so conflicted. We're so conflicted right now.
I'm agreeing with Lil Nas X's stalker. Like, this is just so.
Okay, so let's just put that to the side. All right. I mean, he totally has a point. And ever since Kanye, I know everyone's like blaming it on the Kardashians, but he had problems way before the Kardashians. He has been just the polar opposite of his former self. It's a 180, like, for sure. And him running for president last time and trying to, like, split the Black vote, and some people really fell for that. And in Free Space, people really voted for him. Like,
over 35,000 people voted for
Kanye. My God.
In critical swing states,
swing states, and his campaign operators were all Republicans.
Well, maybe he split the Republican vote. Maybe that's what he said.
They can support him any way they want to on TV, but we all know behind closed doors, they're like, oh my God, we got one. You know what I mean? Because he's doing like the craziest stuff, going on Tucker Carlson, and just because I know I'll be triggered by that interview, I haven't seen it and I won't see it. I won't ever see it. But he's on there like tap dancing for Tucker, and Tucker's trying on his Yeezy boots and weird shit.
Weird shit.
Weird shit. Brandon, what are your thoughts on that?
Sadly, yeah, I just feel like I said, we feel so conflicted. Like, we have to agree with Boosie at this moment, and we also have to like come down to,
my heart.
and it's like exactly. I'm like, please, I understand this is placed in a very, very, very special predicament right now, but at the same time, it's a lot of conversation around in the community about how we're gonna hold Kanye accountable. I don't know if you guys have been looking like on TikTok or Twitter, different things like that. Like, it's a whole discussion. They just like, okay, like, literally, we've tried the whole separation from artists to the shit that they do type of thing. What are we gonna do now? Because this makes no sense. Like, this makes no sense. And one of my favorite TikTokers, Morgan Nye Chloe, I think I just said that right. I hope so. But she said, which I don't like realize that he's been doing this stuff for years. Like, and I know, Isaac, you just literally point that out. She's like, he's been doing this stuff for years. She's like, nothing that he's done has literally been like for like, our culture or Black folks or different things like been for the people that who are, like who are white, who are trying to get the culture, who are trying to be a part of the culture, appropriate it, different things like that. And I was just like, never knew that or never thought about that in that aspect. But I mean, I think that's more so the conversation for like, how do you, kind of separate that artist from what they are or who they are being. But for me, I mean, it's kind of cold turkey. Like, I haven't listened to the last couple of his albums in general because he's just been a little spacey to me. But now within like this like level of disrespect, it's weird shit. Weird. That I'm letting you know right now, that's the name of the episode. Weird shit.
Okay, let's save it for the merch. Let's save it for the merch.
Copyright. Okay. Brandon, put the little TM trademark at the bottom.
Right.
Of the video.
Noted.
Well, it's interesting because being from Chicago, I've never been like a diehard Kanye West fan. I think that I liked his first 3 CDs, and like with any, I think most artists, most celebrities, like they put together a package that they know is marketable through music, fashion, shows, entertainment, but how they really are or how they really feel about certain areas they may keep a little bit hidden. And maybe just him being rich and being disconnected for so long has kind of helped him do that. But I've never really, even when he said that George Bush doesn't care about Black people, I think that was such a moment of him grandstanding and doing the whole performative, I care about my people. And it really has people like triggered, like it allows for people to kind of feed into that. And it's so many people that whenever he does do something, as much as we want to say that it's not influential and it's not important, just like with Trump and all the press coverage that he got before he got elected, it's like we really give him so much energy about him wearing a shirt as if he represents the collective of Black people, and he doesn't. And so I feel like let him do whatever he's gonna do. I don't see him as someone that, despite his money and influence, as someone that has like any type of peace with themselves. And it just shows that no matter how much money that you have, you can really still be kind of at odds with yourself and not even have a level of understanding about who you are as a person. So I think it's just him self-destructing, but because he's always been so redeemed, no matter what he does, he's always going to have a following, and people are always going to attach their fond memories of who Kanye used to be to them to this version, even though they're two separate people at this point.
Oh yeah, they're two totally different people.
Real Gemini shit. Real Gemini shit.
Hey, I'm a Gemini.
Me too. Me too. Not like that, but like me too.
So for the Gemini delegation,
We're gonna switch him to Libra. We're gonna vote him out to Libra.
I don't know. They may protest as well.
No.
Speaking of protests,
I'm married to a Libra, so yeah.
Nobody wants them. Speaking of protests, I know that with the recent video of Lizzo playing the James Madison flute, and she,
it was crystal.
It was pure crystal, very 200-year-old flute. She did this on September the 30th, and she played and did a little twerk with it. But a lot of conservatives aren't happy about it, and they feel like it's very, very disrespectful and all that kind of stuff. And I know that Sunny from The View, this is according to Decider.com, she actually was defending Lizzo against a lot of people who've been saying, that what she did was egregious or what have you. Any thoughts as we talk about, some of the history that Lizzo has made and also tapped into with playing this flute?
Well, I think it's just something else we can add to her repertoire. I just, I love the ground that Lizzo's able to break. It's like, I really feel like sometimes there's no other person who could do what she does and how she does it. So in that aspect, yeah, I mean, I support it too. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever the issue is, which is mostly always internal, has nothing to do with her or nothing to do with what's going on in that moment. Of course, she did nothing wrong but shine and live her best life. So congratulations to her on that. And another one goes to you. So.
Yeah. Isaac, what do you think?
I think if she was a tall, thin, blonde white woman,
Come on.
no matter who she was, like she would have. They were like, "Oh my God, wasn't that so beautiful? That was so amazing." You know,
she's having fun.
Oh my God! Oh my
you
God!
look great.
And the history of it all. Oh my God.
But my thing is, okay, it's an instrument. Are instruments made to be played?
Check.
Like, it's an instrument, she played it. It wasn't like she did something that the instrument wasn't imposed to be done with, right? You play a flute. And I feel like people can just be
classically trained.
Yeah, like people can be offended at anything. It doesn't even matter. And we're thinking about what level of preservation does this mean? Because James Madison was someone who also was a slave owner, or he not owner, this is a better word for that, but he basically, you know, controlled, had power over other individuals, other human beings. And I don't know why all of a sudden his history, his items have to be made to be so precious when things from our culture, whether it's gay culture, Black culture, are desecrated, mimicked, mocked, commodified all the time.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like so many like, you know, great pieces of art and sculpture and stuff like that was stolen from Africa. Do you know what I mean? It end up in these like predominantly white institutions and their museums and all that stuff. And you know, the European government is, oh my God, I think all of those crowns come from Africa. I mean, you know, the stone.
Scattered all over the world.
Yeah. But anywho, let them eat cake.
Let them stay mad, right?
Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake. Let them twerk. Let them
Queen Elizabeth.
Let Lizzo do what she has to do. Lizzo's been getting so much criticism this year. It's like, I mean, it's been nonstop since she's kind of crossed over and blown up. But it's been a lot of like jabs at her almost every week from either other toxic guys or white conservatives. It seems to be a lot of attack at her just because of her size and just that she's a plus size Black woman that's beloved and is a successful celebrity. So
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that her show was going to like get that many, like gonna get any Emmy nominations. Like she like killed it. And I watched that show. I binged it.
Okay.
Months ago, and it was awesome. She even had a trans woman in the mix.
Oh wow.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched it with my mom. So if you can get Anita, the most, you know, Christian woman to do anything outside of the 10 Commandments, honey, you're doing some type of work, okay? You're doing some type of work. So yes, just deserving of everything that she's getting. So to breaking some more and shaking the table, honey, this is to you. We love you.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Well, we're going to transition actually into our political segment, probably some juicy topics here. The first is going to be kind of like our new anthem for getting the vote out, right? I haven't listened to the full song as of yet, but but there is a new anthem out called "No Voting, No Vucking."
That's Vucking with a V.
With the V.
Yeah. There? Okay.
So you can, you know, certainly put in, you know, the right consonant in there. But this was presented 4 days ago on October the 4th, and this is the No Voting, No Vucking campaign. And this is with Saucy Santana and also Trina. Am I not mistaken with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So they're trying to get
So
out the vote. Have you all listened to the song? Are you all twerking to the voting polls?
Oh, yes, I am. Oh, it's a bop. I mean,
We did it, Joe. We did it, Joe.
okay, so, okay. Anyway, this is like kind of like my article because I saw this YouTube of this guy who was like, he was devastated. Okay, like this black guy was like, oh my God, why are they pandering to us like this with this degenerate, like, mess? And he kept saying degenerate. So the narrator was like a total homophobe and a misogynist, period, right? Because he really wanted to focus on Saucy, you know what I mean? So he put Saucy's picture up and just like kept it there and like kept saying degenerate. But he did have a point, and the point was, oh my God, like they don't pander to anybody else like this, do they? Like, like this is the lowest common denominator. And I just want to read a few of the lyrics. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is the chorus. No voting, no loving, no voting, no touching, no voting, no nothing, no voting, no bucking. Okay. Then this one is Saucy Santana. He says, if coochie is the goal, then get to the polls.
Okay.
And then Trina, one of her lines is, gerrymander this coochie.
I'm tripping off the put the by in partisan.
Oh, another good one. This is another Saucy Santana, soon to be classic. If you want to hit this booty, you gotta do your civic duty. Okay, so I just want to ask a question. I'm asking, like, is it reductive, or are they just meeting people where they are?
Brandon, you're closer to, the generation that's hip and live.
Even though
and all that
Trina's
stuff.
our generation, like Saucy is his. So
yeah, like you're the youngest amongst our panel here. Like, what are your thoughts? Does this connect with you?
I actually, that's I think what bothers me the most is that I think this is such it could have been an opportunity, right? Like we're kind of bridging gaps here.
Yeah,
we have a little bit of Trina being who's like, she's getting a lot of praise. She just, I think, was the honoree for the BET Hip Hop Awards, and Saucy is literally on like a great high. Like he worked with Madonna, all this other stuff. They are collabing here. I just think this could have been so different. Just like so different. Honestly, I mean, I think for me it's a tie-in. Like, I mean, nothing, of course I work in public health and I work in like sexual health. That is my whole, spiel. I want to know, are they saying, because I did not listen to all of it, I will say that. Are they saying, like, how did they tie this together? So no voting, no vucking. So is there like, I mean, I know we've had our, complications and different things, women have lost their choices, within abortion rights, different things like that. We have talked about, PrEP being, denied in different states and stuff like that. So are they trying to bring that together?
They're saying that people that you are having sex with, if they're not voting,
stop it.
Stop. Don't have sex with them anymore.
Don't give them nothing.
You ain't voted. No voted. No bucket. Okay.
Right. Ever.
So this brings me back to this. This brings me back to this, especially I think within maybe just our culture as being, queer Black men and different things like that. I want to say that we have the conversation about voting and stuff like that, right? Because it's a part of our, everyday, topics and things like that. Political. We care about our communities, different things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that maybe that could be everyone else on in our community or different things, or they may not get to that conversation because, sex is just different for everybody.
This is
we barely want to talk about, I think, some of the things that are in the bedroom. Oh, go ahead, Isaac.
So this is like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Chirac.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I think I know what you're getting.
It's one of Spike Lee's worst movies. Clearly. But anyway, he based it on this historical story where women were tired of the men going to war, like tribes going to war with each other. So they said, you know what, we're not going to have sex anymore, and let's just stop the war. So that's what he made Chirac based on. Like, there were so many Chicago killings or whatever that the women were like, no, we're not having sex if you don't put down the gun. So that's kind of like what this is. But I just have to agree with the guy. Like, I mean, they don't pander to other people like this. I mean, unless it's something I've missed. I mean, I just don't understand like why they have to like come to us with the lowest common denominator.
But I think that for me, I think that this is how, just because sex and certain things, certain superficial things, I'm not saying sex isn't important, but I feel that when it comes to what a lot of people are shown as important, people are concerned about their own pleasure. And so I think that this in a way kind of ties it into, hey, this is something that everybody wants to do. It perceives something that's cool in it, whatever, desirable. If we take this away from you, or at least tie it into the importance of voting, maybe you'll actually do it. Now, this also, for me, ties it into another area, which is, as much as we want people to vote, depending on your state, is going to be whether or not that's accessible for you, and whether or not you've been able to get the identification to vote, or if you're going to be able to vote in the mail like we can here in Illinois, or early vote, or be able to do other areas of voting beyond election day where you're not waiting for several hours just to be able to get through and be able to vote. I think that a lot of people probably want to vote. And I remember growing up with Vote or Die. That was like the big thing that Diddy, was always pushing. But I think in so many ways, it feels like more and more younger people are civically engaged and understand that it's important. I never got why people just didn't vote. My whole thing was like, why don't you protest and vote? Like, just do everything.
Right.
like if the vote is leaking, like clog up every hole. Like, you don't just do one thing and then like leave this other opportunity on the table.
Right.
Test, stand up, act up, do whatever you have to do to push your message, and also say, hey, we also know the game and we're politically engaged too, where you have to respect us as constituents. And I never got the whole disconnect or the uncoolification of voting. Don't look that word up, y'all, not in the dictionary, but just but just making like something that you would do, like it's like paying your water bill. Like, we don't pay bills in the mail anymore, but like you would see like your parents pay bills through a mail, or paying a ticket or whatever. It's just a civic thing that you have to do. It doesn't have to be attached to whether or not you're cool or not. It's just something that you have access to. So I don't know, maybe you'll get more butts in the voting booth. What you got to say, Brandon?
Quickly, I just do want to highlight that this is a collaboration with Saucy and Trina, but with the largest Black dating app, Black. So I have to say that, because one, I did not know they did stuff like this. And two, I think that it was just, like I said, unique in a way. I think that it could have just been done differently. But I wonder if that was also the aspect of where the fucking came in. In
Oh,
that
like the
aspect. With
relationship
the dating
piece.
app. Yeah,
Dating.
yeah.
I mean, it's
With the
certainly a
dating app part.
platform to promote the Black app. So Black is a
Right.
dating app that is in conjunction or sponsoring this promotion. So I think to a degree, I feel like some of this is performative to a degree because it's wrapped up in get out and vote and do your civic duty, and that message is there. But in the lyrics, they reference the Black dating app, BLK, the dating app, throughout. So, it's almost like that to me. I forget which of the Jenner girls did it, but she had that Pepsi commercial and people are like fighting.
Kendall.
Kendall, yes. And it's all this
Yeah.
little civil unrest. But damn it, if you can share a Pepsi with a police officer.
I mean,
Yo.
I'm wondering why they didn't just fly her over to Ukraine and
Offer
have
them the
her give a Pepsi to the
Offer
Russian soldiers. And this could have been over 7 months ago.
Eons ago.
Putin doesn't want to use nuclear weapons on Ukraine and start a nuclear war. He just wants someone to offer him a Pepsi.
He wants a
Goddamn.
Pepsi.
He's thirsty.
He just wants a little
Thirsty.
soda. Pop soda. Which one do you call it? You want one of those.
Thirsty for war, but yeah, absolutely. So get out and vote, whether you're bucking or not. Everybody, we'll just put that out there.
Whether you're bucking or not, yes.
Now, speaking of voting, Isaac, I actually want to reference you for this particular article, and that is the current review of the Voting Rights Act by the Supreme Court, and it's already been gutted already in the early 2000s, but it's going to continue to be gutted. Any additional details regarding that?
Yeah, they, well, first of all, Republicans have blocked like newer bills for voting, i.e. the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And so that's like never gonna probably see the light of day. Like, I mean, unless Biden wins a second, wins the Senate and the House, but otherwise we won't have it. So now they're basically saying that states can do kind of like anything they want. Like they can gerrymander until they have no black districts if they want to. Okay, because that's what that case was about. And so yeah, it's like they can break up any kind of Black community and have no Black representation for those people in Washington.
Wow, it is terrible. Go ahead.
Yeah, and people don't understand, and I say this all the time, but people don't understand like how democracy is fleeting. Like, I mean, people don't understand that there are people who believe that Donald Trump won the election, who are running for office, who are in office, and who hundreds of them will be on the ballots on the ballots in the midterms. Those people are secretaries of state. They control elections. Like, that's where we are.
Yeah.
Like, the last election was, it was serious. This one is even more serious than that one was, because now if the Republicans get in, they're gonna they're planning to impeach Joe Biden.
Based on what?
For doing nothing. I mean, not anything. But that is one of the first things they're going to do if they take the House. They're going to impeach Joe Biden. That's crazy. That's where we are right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, people, people do need to vote. You need to just vote in a way just because you need the numbers to be overwhelming so that they can't steal it from you.
But Isaac, in any, when look at the popular votes, like people overwhelmingly vote in most cases Democratic in terms of like a national view.
Yeah.
And they talk about how, like you look at Puerto Rico, 3 million people essentially that live in that territory, but no senator, no congressperson. They do have a congressperson, but they don't have like any official like
right
fully vested vote representation within the House.
Because they don't want them to vote Democrat.
Yeah, and then you have places like, I'm just gonna throw out some states, no offense to whoever's from here, but like you have states like Wyoming and North and South Dakota that have Congress people and the same level of power in terms of senators that someone who is like Kamala Harris, when she was a senator, she represented 40 million people.
Right.
40 million people. And someone that has maybe a population of 500,000 gets to outvote you.
In the whole state.
So it's just crazy. I think about how there's just such an upheaval for, right now the Republican Party is being so frantic to do whatever it takes to have control, but to do what? You're not going to do anything positive. Not that the Democrats do a much better job, but
no, they literally vote no on any bill. It doesn't matter what the bill is, they vote no on the Democratic bill. But the fact that most of those bills are all to help people, to help the middle class, to help the poor, they hate that. That's not why they came to Congress. They came to Congress to make money for corporations and billionaires and millionaires and to be paid for it.
Brandon, and this is something that I never thought I would witness, as a person or as an adult. But again, it goes back to accessibility. No voting, no vucking, right? But if you have states like this that basically make your vote not count because you've been spliced up in a district where your vote is going to be not impactful because you're in a district that's overwhelmingly something else or whatever it is very discouraging for anybody that wants to stay engaged in the political process, because you're not gonna, it's like a terrible wheel, because you have
it's systemic
people in office that do suppressive things, like not even giving you time to take off to go vote, right? And then people in these states that minimize access in such a way. And then because if you did try to vote, you don't see any change. So it's just a very easy way to get people out the system. Brandon, what are your thoughts with this?
My thoughts are really that it's systematic, it's systemic in a way that is like it's systemic. At the moment, like how laws and things that we literally cannot do anything about. Like you said, you just kind of enlightened me. Like I know that was a thing that happens when you can be outvoted by smaller parties because they don't have the different kind of what do you call it? Sorry, Congress or different things like that.
Yeah, but
in that aspect,
irony from the minority towards the majority,
right?
know?
But the majority, I think, based on the polls that I've seen, based on a lot of stuff, even with abortion, that was a minority wanted decision. Nobody was saying, in terms of a greater collective, nobody was saying, you know what, I can't function or live my life because of abortion rights. That's something that's a big deal. No, in fact, majority of Americans said that they wanted to keep a level of reasonable abortion rights for people.
70% or some shit.
Right. So and just completely ignore it.
Yeah. So this is all stuff from a small pocket that's looking to control the majority. But what reassures me is that, and I think this might just be generational, as we get older and other generations start to come out of the, you know, let's just say for die. You know, I think some of it is going to be kind of moving out some of those older folks, and people are going to stop fighting. People are.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. Like, and the fact that the pool of the Gen Zers and the generations coming up, like they're all like 2/3 Democrat. So you know, and I think they're more. I think they're, you know, kind of like embracing more of like what happened in the 60s and 70s, like more of like that, you know, okay, we're trying to change the world. Climate change is real. Like, you know, these people don't seem to give a damn. So we have to use our votes to make the change that we want to see.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I do have hope in the next upcoming generation, because the people in charge are so disconnected, and I think most folks are more connected to different diverse groups than ever. And so it's like, okay, it doesn't make sense. And also just the way that our economy, sorry, I'm on my soapbox, I'll get off in a second. I think that younger generations are also seeing that despite leadership saying one thing, that with the economy, the cost of living, the cost of education, the cost to even have a child, the cost to purchase a home, property, like all those things, it's shrank down to such a level. It's not where our parents were. It's not where our grandparents were.
No, during this last like decade, like we produced a generation who's going to make less than their parents.
Yes.
For the first time.
Yes. And essentially rely on their parents longer.
Right.
So they're saying that this political system in terms of who's in charge is not working. And we're going to see more and more people who are gay, bi, trans, Black, white, Hispanic, like more and more people that are coming in and saying, you know, immigrant, like people who want to make the system work for everyone, because essentially a couple of people having all the resources and options isn't helping. Even for people that are necessarily on the minority side, a lot of these policies don't help them either, you know?
They don't.
So, well, we'll just have to continue to see. Also, just to reference, we're referencing an article from the Huffington Post regarding the Voting Rights Act. And the wonderful state of Alabama was the first state to kind of kick this off in terms of being able to push this to the Supreme Court, because they were one of the first states to really get into that gerrymandering and cut up there was a black belt of counties that was there that they were able to kind of cut down, even reducing, again, voter registration areas and sites where you can get your access to vote. All that stuff was cut from the last several governors that were there. So wonderful, wonderful state of Alabama. We appreciate you for all of that. Moving on to our next political story. We're going to kind of just lighten up the mood a little bit here. I don't know how light it makes it, but just the context of this commercial was so hilarious. So Senator John Kennedy, no relation to the former president.
No, but, Louisiana.
Not at all. But he is a sitting senator, and he released a campaign commercial that talked about his toughness on crime, how he supports not defunding the police, and for anyone that has a harsh criticism against cops just because they're cops, next time they have trouble, call a crackhead. And I always say, first, I'm gonna throw this out because it's like throwing like meat like to a pool of sharks right now. But when a senator says to his community or his constituents, if you don't like the way police are policing, next time that you need help, even though your taxpayer dollars are paying for said police, you can't call them. You'd be better off calling a crackhead, which would say, is the effectiveness of the police questionable? Also, for a community to even have quote unquote crackheads is only a reflection of the failed policy of its government. So,
And the government is responsible for said crackheads because they imported said crack into the neighborhoods. Okay.
allegedly.
I digress.
But yes, all of that being
That's it.
stated, it's almost like saying, well, but you're the source of the problem. You're in charge. We shouldn't have crackheads if you're in charge, right?
You shouldn't have financed it. I mean,
You're a sitting senator. What have you done? Why are things out of control
Okay.
so bad? So anyway, your thoughts after laughing hilariously at the commercial. I think I watched it about 10 times, just to be honest. Your reaction, Brandon, what was your thoughts about his latest political ad?
I was one hysterically laughing. Like I said, I watched it 10 times as well. But again, I wanted to know who approved this. I know he approved it because he said it, but I wanted to know, like, campaign people, like the production team, like, who said, like, okay, you know what, crackheads, that's it right there. Like, you know, like, that's what we're gonna put on the end of this video, and that's the people, like, you know, that are just as, I mean, equal to the police in that aspect. Like, the analogy of it for me was just like, where, like, who wrote it? Like, where's this coming from? Like, why this? Like, why? Like, but again, I think it's like you said, people who don't understand life and who are living, like, you know, just sky free, understanding that Black lives are just, you know, being taken away, different things like that, who don't really care about that shit. And you get up there and you say something like that, knowing that we don't have great, like, relationships with police at all.
And that's such and Isaac, I want to give it to you as well, but as you mentioned that, Brandon, just the term crackhead, like, that was always such a derogatory term that was primarily used in Black people. And so, you know, you think about that in terms of just what a dog whistle's like. Yeah, I'm gonna be tough on these, you know. So I think about all of that, just the language. I think that, to your question, Brandon, I think that he was like, oh, we're putting this in, because he actually says this as like one of his statements. I think, like, something that he is known to say about. So
all the time on the Senate floor.
yeah, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's harsh on crackheads
fuck?
and judge methods. Like, he brings it up a lot.
Oh, wow. I needed that, but no.
He be calling them out.
It's like
horrible.
a stick, you know what I mean? It's like a stick, big, you know.
That's crazy.
You know how Bernie's always talking about healthcare and drug prices.
Yeah,
but he talks about crackheads. That's his thing.
But wouldn't adequate healthcare and adequate drug coverage help to maybe reduce people who happen to?
Yes,
See,
but unfortunately, that party they're not about that. That's not what they're in politics for.
Yeah. And you oppress them instead, even more with your remarks. That's sick. That's sick as hell.
Well, equality to them is, you know, a 4-letter word. Equality means that the people who uphold white supremacy are going to have less, you know. I mean, it's really not true, but I mean, I don't think their money would, like, you know, really, like, do anything but still go up, but they don't want to distribute the wealth. They don't. I mean, billionaires should not even be allowed in the world. Billionaires.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you're making billions, there is somebody in on that ladder that is making nothing.
Right.
Okay. And lots of people. I mean, there are like 3 people who own, like, you know, 50% more wealth in the United States than the bottom half of the citizens.
Yeah.
3 people.
But,
so
yeah, but how does that help how does that help society? And I get it, we're such an individualized way of living where everything's about me taking, me having as much more than someone else.
Yeah.
But it feels like, especially like localizing things here to Chicago and how a lot of crime has been happening, not just within more of the middle class and poor areas, but like also in the rich areas of the city. And
right.
Mhm.
And there's
you know, like this
that
is
triggered
this,
that then.
yeah, like this is not going to be just a poor people, a middle class people problem. Like, hoard all the wealth that you want, but eventually it's going to start to knock on your door. There's not going to be enough space, doors, or whatever that you can make, because you know the wealth gap is so wide, and it's ensuring that we keep a population within poverty. So it is just, and people don't want to be in poverty. Like, if we
And
have billionaires,
it's
that means that
designed
there's
that
wealth.
way. Yeah. It's designed that way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I think it's going to contribute to more people fighting, more people wanting better voices than some of the old male white voices that have been in charge for so long.
Hmm.
And yeah, maybe it's just a sign of some of the old times, the tough on crime gamut that we've been on since the 1990s. No, since Nixon, the 1970s.
Oh my
It's
God, that's the Southern strategy. Yeah.
yeah, it's a Southern strategy. It's the fear mongering, you know, it's all of that. And still majority of our budgets go to military and policing, and we still have crime. So what are you talking about?
Right.
We're not gonna out police crime. Like that is, there's just no way,
Mm-mm.
you know,
Mm-mm.
that so
You,
anyway.
you improve your policies.
Mhm.
The policies improve people's situations, and then they go on to prosper from there. It's like, it's
Yeah.
not like rocket science. You know what I mean? Like,
They
give
don't want
them
to change the
resources,
system.
and see people bloom. Like,
Mhm.
And
They
and like people don't want to be crackheads.
no,
People
no,
don't.
no one wakes up and is like, you know what, I want to be a
give
crack.
me that.
And you
I'll
know,
No.
say crackhead for 500, Alex.
right. And you know what I think about, like, because this she isn't the first person to release a salacious commercial. And sorry for spending so much time on this, but it just kind of brought up a point.
Oh
But
yeah, they do it
there's
all.
a Utah Republican state senator candidate called Linda Paulson, and she did like a whole rap. Actually, the rap wasn't bad. Like, she did have flow. I'll give that to her.
Nice.
But
Wow.
yeah, but it still goes back to that dog whistle, because the rap was also anti-trans, you know, as well. And it just felt like, okay, you're taking an art form that wasn't invented by you, that was invented by people who pretty much used it as a way to express themselves through poverty and through
Mhm.
hardship. And you're using that same platform to then push your agenda to suppress somebody else. So it's really interesting, what people are able to get away with in society now. Because 10, 20 years ago, like this would never, not 10 years ago, 20 years ago, this probably would never have flown, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, things are, you know, a certain person has really changed politics a lot. But
Yeah, there's
A
nothing left.
lot.
Um, I'll move us into our last political story, and then we'll get into entertainment. So we'll jump around. But there's a, speaking of politics, there's a big thing, or a big commotion regarding Herschel Walker and his son Christian Walker, who up until recently has always been very supportive of his father's policies, often doing several rants, referencing um, in many ways how particularly Black people are not pulling their weight, they're not doing well, they're not doing this, that, you know, that talk down political stance from this person. But now he's talking about there's so many uh, allegations of abortions, alleged abortion from Herschel Walker, to alleges allegations of domestic abuse. And so now it's kind of on the cleanup. But do you feel like this is gonna even sway Republicans or voters that are in Georgia right now trying to decide who's gonna be which Black man will be in the Senate, essentially? And this is all from the Huffington Post, by the way. So just wanted to just see what you all were thinking.
I don't think it's going to make a bit of difference. Christian told uh, the truth, his
Mhm.
truth, and but I mean, the very same day, Republicans were like on news shows, governors, I mean, Christy Nome, for one, was saying like, I don't care what he did.
Right.
I don't care what he did. I just want control of the Senate.
Hmm.
Man, that's like the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. And they know that he'll comply with whatever they want to do.
Right.
Brandon, how are you feeling?
He's canceled his debate with
Or
Raphael.
not?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
you know.
I I don't think it'll weather anything either. But y'all, I have to admit, I did not know. Excuse my common language too. I know that girl was his son. I didn't. I know.
She's a
I
girl allegedly.
Yeah,
yeah.
she's been trolling for like 2 years. Like she's been a
I
mess.
had no idea.
Yeah.
And I think a lot, you know, so much stuff is clicking. It's clicking in here now.
Mhm.
Just on who Christian is, you know, and different things like that from what he has shared throughout his different posts and TikToks and everything like that. Oh gosh, everything just makes a lot of sense. But do I think it'll change anything? Nah. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, that's a
Well,
question.
you know, was there ever a time we wanted like the best and brightest to be in office? You
Yes,
know?
there was time.
Okay,
Is
okay.
there a time?
I
It,
remember it
fe-
well.
it felt like a very short period.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, that if you didn't have everything together, like you certainly wouldn't be considered
right.
uh,
Yeah,
for any political office, or if there
they
was a
don't. I
scandal.
don't care what he's
But
done.
then came George Bush, and so
Yeah. Well, it's a, you know, I think when it comes to his son Christian, it's funny how people can like do a lot of harm and then they can sidestep repercussions because now they want to blow a whistle. Like
Mhm,
Omarosa, who came up with the
mm,
all tell-all book. But
mhm.
when uh, Trump was first elected, yes, everyone will bow down to him. All this kind of stuff.
it's always oh my God, I always
Yeah. So, but now, you know, now you want a moment of one virtuous act that you no
Mhm,
longer benefit from. Now you want to now spill the beans, and maybe there's some insight because of some of these allegations. Maybe there are some quote unquote actual like Republicans who actually feel strongly about the whole Christian value, non-abortion, you know, family value things they always push, but they don't live up to. Maybe that will affect some. And maybe he's thinking, okay, I've made so much money and acclaim off of demonizing those that are poor, marginalized, you know, pull up yourself by your bootstraps garbage
right.
that I know that my dad may or may not win
mm,
this election. I'm going to try to just save myself where I can. And I can still do all of the conservative tours. I can still do all the speak engagements and make money. Oh, and write a book, you know, because his life was so traumatic as this very high yellow black male or girl, allegedly, as Ben
Yeah,
says. You know, so it really is like you've done this for 2 years, but you have a few weeks of reference that now all of a sudden you remember all this terrible stuff about your dad that you want to
okay.
bring to light right before the election. You know, give me a break. So interesting, interesting, y'all. Um, I'm gonna actually let this be a moment where we can kind of move into some of our entertainment news. And bring us to a lighter point in our episode. Brandon, I know that Deadpool is a favorite franchise of yours, and they had the recent trailer out with potential. I'm sure he'll be included now. They had him in the actual trailer or the initial feature for it. But Hugh Jackman reprising his role as Wolverine, not within the X-Men universe because he
Mhm,
died, but
mhm,
you were like another universe. How
mhm.
excited are you about Deadpool 3, and what are your thoughts about Hugh Jackman returning as his role?
I'm excited for Deadpool 3. One, Ryan Reynolds is just in his bag when it comes to him being Deadpool. You know, I think that that's just a fantastic choice for him. And he's been able to, you know, have great success. And also, I think, tell the story of Deadpool in ways that you would really get in the comics, you know. So, and I really, really appreciate that because I think that a lot of us, you know, nerds and all that other stuff when it comes to comics and things, we've went into this space where the films are kind of becoming darker, they are becoming more serious and different things like that. So we don't really have anything too canon or, you know, too like strict to the books and stuff. And Deadpool gives us that, you know? So we're excited about that. And also Deadpool has had like so many interactions with everybody. So now that Wolverine is coming in, it's just naturally so. This will be Hugh Jackman's 8th movie as Logan. Um, eighth movie.
Oh my
Was
God.
I looking
Okay.
forward to seeing someone else? Yes. I was like, no, literally eighth. It's like he had 2 standalones, 3 X-Men movies. But
I
he had
like
3
Logan.
standalones.
Logan. That was my favorite.
That was 3, yeah, that was 3 standalones. So that's 3 standalones. Got to even count Logan. So yeah, 3 standalones, 3 X-Men movies, and then he had actually 4 because of the
Sure.
because of he was in 4, and then you know this will be his 8th one. So like this will be his 8th installment, and I think I was ready for somebody else. You know, we're asking for some comic accuracy. You know, he's like really 4'11" in real life. You know, kind of short and stubby. But hey, I do think he's gonna be back because of the some of the trailers and things that's been coming out. They took Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You" and turned it to "I Will Always Love Hugh," which is like kind of hilarious, hysterical. But yeah, I'm super excited, and I think that this will be a nice standalone moment for I think Ryan Reynolds, and also trying to bring in more of his interactions as Deadpool with other characters and things like that. So we
Right.
shall see. But 8 years pretty exhausting.
Isaac, your thoughts about
How do you feel, Isaac? Anybody else? How y'all feel about it?
I'm not a Deadpool person. I'm not and I do watch a lot of movies and TV and stuff, but I'm not a, big Deadpool person. So I mean, I'm gonna see it. But I can't say that like I care about it so much, but
the world
I'm gonna
will
be
continue
honest.
to turn?
Like, like, oh, I'm super excited. No, I'm not. Like, I'm gonna watch it though. So yeah.
I'm gonna see it too. I mean, I saw the first 2. I think I enjoyed both movies actually. I mean, they both can get a little gruesome because he's basically impervious to dying. Like he's been ripped in half and all that kind
And
of
that
stuff.
part I really appreciate, by the way.
That part makes me sick,
Shut up.
but it's fine.
All about gratuitous violence. I love it. I love it.
But I think to Brandon's point, I would love maybe a highlight of different characters. Like I would love if somebody like did like a really good Gambit or did like a really good Storm, a really good, Rogue.
They have not done
Like,
something right. They have not done
yeah,
her
she ain't
justice.
been right since
Yeah.
the first one.
She ain't been right.
We
Look, for
we
me,
ain't know what her accent was.
as soon as they didn't cast Iman as Storm on the first one, I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be shit.
They
was
had some
voting
great
for
contenders.
Angela Bassett she was given the role.
She was offered. She was offered.
I wish she would have taken it.
She said that's the only offer she wish she had took. She said that's the only regret
that
she's
would've
ever
had.
had that. She said that's the only regret she's had in her career.
Now I'm upset with her. Now I'm upset with her.
Yeah, she was
Now we got beef.
Yeah, I mean she's now T'Challa's mom in Black Panther. I mean, they still pulled her back into the franchise, but I just feel like that would have been such a iconic,
But you could have been in the early 2000s, like really
literally
been that thing. You know what I mean? Like even bigger star. But
yeah, like okay. Well, anyway, not to fault her. We love Angela, but yeah, I really would love to see some more characters highlighted beyond the ones that give you the most violence or the most aggressive or the most masculine. Like I really would love to see more of that shown, because the X-Men as it was created was like the first diverse superhero team.
Mhm.
And, you know, they were complicated and they came from different backgrounds and different cultures. And that was like the real appeal about the initial comic was having people from all these different places come together and unite, you know, despite their differences. So I would love to see some more of that, you know, explored, even if they did it on a smaller scale, like what they're doing with Disney Plus.
Let's do a series.
Yeah, maybe some type of series. Storm, no. Storm deserves her own movie, period.
Aside.
Yes, aside.
I want to see her as Thor so bad. You know, she picks up the hammer, I think about like 10 years ago or so, but I want to see her as Thor in that aspect. I want to see that whole progression. I would love
Well,
to
she
see
was
that.
supposed to marry T'Challa. She
She
becomes his wife.
was.
So who knows what that. Are you excited about the new Black Panther movie? That's another question.
Ooh, yeah,
I'm trying to see how they're gonna do it. I'm super excited. I want to see how they're gonna do it, like as far as the story aspect of it, because they have Namor now. There's literally going to be the land versus sea battle. That I mean, it's a huge Marvel one. But I'm just, you know, it's really like saddens me to think and to know that Chadwick is not going to be a part of that, you know, and his character within that aspect, because it's just a, you know, a pivotal moment. But at the same time, I do believe they said that we're going to be shocked about who's in that suit. I mean, honestly, we all know that it would be Shuri, but with everyone saying that we're gonna be shocked to see who's in the suit, I'm thinking maybe they will be in the suit the first time, and then Shuri will take over. But who knows? We'll
Well,
see. And then Riri's also in it, so I'm super excited. Yes, Ironheart, Iron Man's successor. Excited.
okay. Well, we'll see. Personally, I think I wish that they had just recast Chadwick's character, just so the storyline could make sense. And I think people would be more so okay with that, understanding the circumstance that, you know, Chadwick passed, than reimagining the story or changing the storyline to Shuri. And I'm just not a fan of the young lady that plays her, because I know that she's like anti-vaxxer and all this stuff.
Yeah,
You know, yeah. So and a lot of production halts were caused because of her. So that's kind of where I am with it. So we'll see. I mean, I hope it doesn't become a disappointment. That and Little Mermaid, excuse me, are two movies that I'm like, they have no choice but to be good. If they aren't, like, who knows, you know, like, I don't know if it's gonna be like repercussions.
Riots everywhere.
Riots in the streets.
That's if Herschel Walker wins the Senate. Hopefully let's apply the riots where they need to be applied, okay? Don't use that riot power for no smoke.
Make a difference.
Yes, it makes a difference. And moving to our final topic of our show today. Currently, it's been a huge discussion, or a huge thought provoker. The series, the Netflix series that categorizes and catalogs the life of Jeffrey Dahmer, as well as his victims, and also his neighbor, Glenda Cleveland, and also showing the racial disparities and inconsistencies and incompetence of the police department, FBI at that time. Isaac, what are your thoughts? I know you have some personal connections to the Jeffrey Dahmer, real life Jeffrey Dahmer, in terms of his victims. I want to give you some space to kind of just talk about how that's affected you and your thoughts about the series.
Well, over the years, you know, probably like 2 decades, like I've been like seeing like Jeffrey Dahmer documentaries. I've been seeing scripted movies. And I don't know, just like pretty much like anything that I could find on Jeffrey Dahmer. So in addition to that, I was, you know, sorry. I was, you know, in my 20s when he was, you know, finally caught, and he had two victims, and they were my friends. And I remember not. I remember not understanding why those two people. I mean, they were like the sweetest, most naive people, you know, and both of them. And then I thought to myself, that's probably why, because when you're naive and you don't see red flags or the evil in people or whatever, that's when they see you, you know. And I remember how it affected like the club life in Chicago. Like people weren't going out. Like it took a couple of months for people to like go out because he was picking up people at clubs that we were hanging out at every week, and it just I think it was a sort of a mourning as well that people didn't want to go out, and because what happened was just so horrific, so 17 boys or whatever, 17 men, boys. And I remember like one of my friends, they said that one of like the heads in the refrigerator was his. And, all I could think about was like, oh my God, I can't imagine what he went through, And I said all that to say that this limited series on Netflix is the most in-depth thing I've ever seen about Jeffrey Dahmer. And they get it all right. Like they get it all right, down to to Glenda, the neighbor, who kept calling them all the time, even when like there was, the Asian boy was half naked or whatever, and the police delivered him right back to Jeffrey Dahmer, and then Jeffrey killed him. Yeah, they got so many things right. And I just remember like the feeling in the gay community, in the Black gay community in particular, like how this like really affected us. And it was just a really weird moment.
Yeah.
But I think Netflix did an amazing job, and I expect them to win a lot of Emmys for this. Niecy Nash she's never been better in anything ever. And Evan Peters, who plays Jeffrey Dahmer, he's gonna get nominated as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Isaac. Brandon, and even myself, like I know I was a kid when all this was going on, but do you feel any cultural or any type of impact, just overall the highlight of seeing about the series and kind of his victims and kind of just the vulnerability of a lot of people within the Black gay community, certainly now, but even especially more in that time, to be able for someone to infiltrate the community and kill and harm people for over a decade, and because of privilege, because of whiteness, because of a lot of things that allow for the police and other authorities to overlook a very clear scenario. Like, what are your feelings, and do you feel like that has any relatability to the present?
I definitely do. I feel like it does relate to the present. I know that there's a lot of conversation around, I think, the vividness, also how Jeffrey Dahmer's movements were when it came down to, like you said, having those victims either be brought back to them or being things being like shunned away because he was white and also queer. And nobody wanted to have those conversations, or even, you know, with being Black and being queer, nobody wanted to have those conversations. Like, because I was actually debating on seeing it because, you know, like you said, I've seen movies, I've seen some like, you know, series. I'm like, I don't need to see anything else, honestly. Like that's okay. My brother was like, you know, I feel like sometimes when my brother speaks, he's like, not God, but he just doesn't do a lot of the we don't have a lot of the same TV shows. As a kid, we said, you know, we're not gonna watch the same thing because we can't stand each other. But this one, he was like, you need to watch this. Like, you yourself need to watch this. He's like, it's so detailed. It's really, like he says, very detailed for the victims. You need to watch this.
Shout
So I
out
was
to
like, I'm gonna
Ryan
give it a
Murphy.
yeah, I mean, Ryan Murphy, like, you know, I feel like that's what he does. I think he always has been able to use his platform to tell robust stories, not even just about like the main cast, but also, you know, the supporting cast and different things like
Yeah,
that. He's been always able to translate with that. But yeah, I think that it definitely is like, you know, just kind of align with things in the present. I think it's causing a lot of conversation, especially within our community. Like I said, Twitter was on fire about a lot of things, and one of them just a little weird. But there is a lot more conversation about, you know, the silos of being Black and queer and being Black queer men, navigating the world and trying to just, I mean, honestly, look for love and also look for shelter in a way that, you know, they had to navigate back then. It's very different now. Very different now, but at the same time, you know, when you were presented to with a friendly face and different things like that, you know, you never seen it before. We didn't have it before. So, you know, and that led down to other things for Jeffrey. But yeah, definitely. I think it does coincide with things today. And I think we have learned to have more dialogue about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's historic. I know that for a lot of people who are connected to the victims or families, they were just saying this is re-traumatizing. And I can imagine that it is. I don't doubt that. Just as you mentioned, Isaac, just being able to watch a series and see someone that you knew personally referenced, you know, and that they
Right.
were, you know, to catalog that person's life and them being killed, murdered, is really a lot. But it did happen. And I think that it's historic. And I have not seen the series, so I'm just going to put that out that I have not seen it. But from what I've gotten from other feedback, from reading reviews, that it has been well done. It also gives a very strong view and visibility point to the victims about their
Yeah.
lives. They were as people beyond just victim number, whatever. That these people had lives, they were loved, that they were careers, that they were a part of a community. And as you mentioned, Brandon, because of the shunning, the homophobia, a lot of the things that kind of restricted people within the LGBTQ community to very small spaces to interact and meet each other, which I feel kind of fuels a big kind of hookup culture, but that's another topic. But for a lot of people, meeting someone at a bar, whether you're gay or straight or whatever, and going home with them if you feel comfortable is a common thing. And so for him to be able to violate that, you know, level of trust that people have gained through meeting him, to manipulate that and to, you know, hurt, harm, kill, and mutilate, I think is terrible. But it just speaks more so broadly to the vulnerabilities of certain communities, how people can infiltrate, and certainly, you know, is that happening now somewhere? Who knows, you know? So yeah, it's quite significant. But I'm glad that the story is being told, at least in a way that doesn't glorify Jeffrey Dahmer. It talks about his background. But you know, people are now trying to talk about, I think there was a thing that Rick Ross posted saying that he wanted Jeffrey Dahmer's glasses, and you know, now it becomes pop culture, but really the respectability about what happened and the history about what happened should always be maintained.
But you know, the good thing about everything, sorry, Jeffrey Dahmer's estate was bought by a white man, and he paid for it all, and he had it burned and buried or whatever. Like, he didn't want any of it to be out in the world.
Good.
Because they were going to have an auction for his estate. and he gave
Mhm.
money to the victims.
Okay.
Mm,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
wow. I didn't either. That's
But
strong.
yeah, yeah. Well, on a highlight, I want to say actually that wraps up our topics for today. We made it to an hour and a half. So for everyone that stayed tuned, watched it with us, we gave you
I know. Sorry, it's a
a little
long one.
more. It's no problem. We just gave you more content. We gave you more discussions. Hopefully this was a great, engaging episode. I want to turn it back to Brandon Isaac. Any thoughts, words, plans for the weekend? Happy Indigenous Day, Indigenous Peoples Day that's coming up on October the 10th. Just want to shout that out.
Awesome.
Mhm.
But any thoughts before we wrap?
Oh no, I am probably going to be celebrating my partner's birthday
Mm,
soon. So just planning a few things for that. But other than that, everything's great. I mean that's great too, but you know, it's just like, oh my God, is my gift good enough? You know, that thing.
Something tells you you'll be fine, and you know
Oh
that.
yeah, I try. I try.
well, if you have
But
a party, I better get an invite. That's all I gotta say. All right, so
listen, because I
Gotcha.
missed
No
my
problem.
game. Because I
No
missed my
problem.
game. But no plans for the weekend, really. I'm going to chill for a time in my life, thank God.
Mm,
I'm just gonna chill out. I do think I'm gonna tune into Dahmer probably tomorrow, but I'm going to clean and I'm gonna chill.
Do it in the
And just
do it in
again,
the daytime because it's really, really, really like dark, like for real.
I've I've seen multiple status of people saying they can't get through the first episode. So I'm
Yeah.
going to, I'm going to be under my cover and I'm going to pace
I watch
myself.
mine all at night.
So okay, great. Daytime. But other than that, yeah, I'll just be chilling. And again, I love the space that we create just for each other to have this dialogue and to have these conversations and stuff like that. So the No Homo show is always just a great feels for me. And I appreciate that. And I hope you all enjoy it too. So Phil, hopefully you have something going on. Tell us, tell us, tell us.
so let's
Remember to
see.
like this video and subscribe.
Yes, that
Please.
too.
Because Isaac told you to. Darn it, you better do that right now. We would love you to subscribe. Also, feedback for any suggestions for content, topics that maybe you want us to
Yes.
cover from our perspective. We want your engagement. We love all the comments that were shown as well. And yeah, we just want to bring you additional content and space and discussions about things that just affect our world, so I think that's really, really significant. So thank you all for being here. As far as your question, Brandon, my weekend. So for those that don't know, I am a runner, not a track star, but a runner in terms of my hobby. And I did the Chicago Marathon, my first marathon last year. Tomorrow, October the 9th, is going to be the actual marathon for this year, for 2022. I won't be participating, but I will be cheering for many of my running comrades and those that are doing it this year. So we're going to do that tomorrow with one of my good friends, Danielle. And then Monday, I don't have anything planned. Like, I don't want anyone to call me. Don't ask me to leave my house. I bought groceries earlier before we taped the show, so I have everything I need. I plan on sleeping, resting, watching TV, like having a day where I'm not doing anything.
Love
Because
it.
yeah, I feel like I run around all weekend and then like Monday happens and I'm like, oh my God, I'm tired. So that's the plan and I'm sticking to it. But yeah, so I appreciate both you, Isaac and Brandon. Thank you for all for being my co-host for this wonderful show for our third episode. Continue to do all the things Isaac said, liking it and subscribing to the channel, suggestions, comments, we love all of that. May you all enjoy your weekend or your weekday or your morning, your afternoon, whenever you're watching this, and continue to get to know these homos in this show. And we will see you all soon. Take care, everybody.
Peace.